Welcome to the Rolex 2021 predictions, aka how many times can a watch blog say the word ceramic without becoming a pottery blog?
Boom, watch fam.
What's up, watch fam? My name is Michael. I am not the curator of the Theo and Harris watch shop, but if you want a Rolex that you can buy today and get shipped to you right away, check out the Theo and Harris watch shop. There's Rolex, Omega, Cartier, Swatch, anything you can think of, it's there. Also, I'm sure you've seen 1,000 Rolex prediction videos already, so I said, hey, Michael, why don't we try to make it fun? And no one contested, not even Christian. So we're going to kind of make it a contest this time, and I know you only have one day to be in this contest, but if you're watching this video and Rolex has not released their new watches yet, comment down below what you predict Rolex will do. What watches will they introduce, discontinue, size change, color changes, whatever. The first 3 people that are 100% correct will get a free handmade Italian leather strap from the Theo and Harris watch shop, or they can get $100 off of any item in the watch strap shop. And if no one is 100% right, which I'm thinking will probably be what happens, I will look at the comments from oldest to newest, put them all together, and see the first 3 people that are the most right. You will be chosen to get a strap. So it's going to be a mess, but I will figure it out. You are in my hands now. Anyways, I'm sure you already know this, but there is basically a 0% chance you will get a new Rolex unless it's from a gray market dealer for like 3 times the price. So it's fun to predict. I feel like this is basically like if the watch world was allowed to watch a trailer of Star Wars, and then on release day, the day before, we're all predicting like, oh my God, I think this is going to happen. I think this is going to happen. I think this is going to happen. And then some marketing bro from Rolex comes out on a podium and is like, hey everyone, thanks for coming out. Darth Vader is 2 millimeters bigger this year in green. We're all just like, wow, that's exactly what I knew that was coming. Like, who didn't? Anyways, what I'm going to talk about is basically the biggest hype that I could find about certain watches and stuff like that. I'm more interested to see what the commenters will be saying and what your predictions are, and if anyone will be right. There's a few things I'm not sure about, one of them being the color green, and another one being ceramic on everything. So let's get into it. First things first, there's rumors that the Rolex Explorer I is going to go from 39 millimeters to 41 millimeters. That makes sense because Rolex is generally sizing up all of their cases right now, which that sucks. I genuinely wish that they weren't doing that because well, 2 things. I feel like 1, 39 is a perfect size for a Rolex Explorer I, and 2, I feel like as you scale up some watch designs, I've said this before in the past too, but the proportions of the watch itself don't work as well. You have to have a little bit more chunky of a case or a little bit further spaced indices or something like that. So I wouldn't be surprised if that happened, but who knows? The big daddy of news, though, is that the Rolex Explorer II is celebrating its 50th anniversary. So people are like, yeah, there's going to be some crazy stuff going on. Some people have said a green dialed Explorer II. I don't think that'll happen. I can't envision Rolex getting creative with colors on their Explorer line, but they might. Who knows? I just really can't see that. I feel like that's always been tried and true. But some people have been saying that there will be a ceramic non-rotating bezel on the watch, which also may happen. But I also heard that there could be a ceramic bezel on the Milgauss, and there's a ceramic bezel on the Sub, and the Sea Dweller, and the Daytona. And to me, I personally don't think Rolex would do that, because it seems like Rolex, if they did that, they had all these ceramic bezeled watches, they'd be leaning too heavily in one very specific model or like market space. I think the Explorer II will always have a brushed steel outer, maybe not steel, but a brushed metal outer. They could do brushed ceramic. I don't know. I just personally, I don't think so. But I've never been right in my life. The Daytona, people have basically said, no, nothing's going to happen with the Daytona. 2023, that's not that far away. That's the 60th anniversary of the Daytona. That's when it's going to go crazy, but for now, there may be some iterative update, but nothing too wild. Also, real quick wristwatch check. I am wearing my Casio G-Shock DW5600. A lot of people have said, Michael, that's crazy. You cancan't do that. This is a Rolex predictions video. You have to wear your Datejust. I said no. I'm wearing my G-Shock. So I don't know, I guess I'm YouTube's watch bad boy. Okay, now kind of going to the less popular section of Rolex. The Air King and the Milgauss are rumored to be discontinued. They're not that popular. Their dial designs are not that likable, although some people like them. I think the Milgauss is kind of cool. The Rolex Air King new branding was kind of tied to the Bloodhound Supersonic car, which that program for that car actually got the axe. So Rolex probably doesn't want to be like, hey, this is our watch based off of a failed supersonic car. So besides it generally not being a really popular model, it's also tied to this thing that failed and isn't existing anymore. So it would make sense for Rolex to kill it. And then the Milgauss is really interesting because I feel like Rolex could refine their design a lot, or Rolex could harken back to their original design where they had a rotating bezel and the honeycomb dial with the red triangle over the 12, and that would be a beautiful watch. But the thing is that the Milgauss now is kind of outdated. It does what it's advertised to do, and it's anti-magnetic, but in terms of it being the anti-magnetic watch, it's kind of destroyed by Omega. So it does what it's supposed to do, but another watch competitor does it way, way, way better. Christian sent me this really cool picture of the Milgauss with a ceramic bezel. I think that would be amazing. I feel like that would be a major reintroduction of the watch, and it would overshadow the Explorer II, which I think is the big showstopper this year. I could see the Milgauss getting redesigned in 2022, and then the Daytona getting the big refresh or the big feature in 2023, but I don't know. Either way, that's kind of what I think. Air King and Milgauss may get the boot or just, kind of hang around until 2022 when it's their time to shine and they'll get their updates. There's also been rumors spinning around the Rolex sphere that the Oyster Flex bracelet is going to come to the Sea Dweller, and it could be a precious metal Sea Dweller with an Oyster Flex bracelet. That's definitely not what the original inventor of the Sea Dweller thought it would look like eventually, but it would look really cool. I think probably my favorite new Rolex is the Yachtmaster, just because 39 millimeters, Oyster Flex band, it's amazing. I love the design. I always see people with it, and I'm like, oh, I like that. If a watch basically right now has an integrated rubber strap, I'm in. I'm all in. And finally, the one thing that will probably definitely not happen, but shout out to monochrome watches, is the reintroduction of the Rolex Kili, which is probably, if you get into Rolex, that vintage Rolex you've seen where you said, oh my God, that's a beautiful Rolex, and then you looked up the price. But it is Rolex's dress chronograph with a triple calendar complication on top of that. And it's amazing. Named, by the way, after Jean-Claude Kili, who never advertised it, but he was so associated with Rolex advertising, he just got caught up in the mix. Kind of like how Steve McQueen is known for the Rolex Explorer II, even though he never wore one. Here's what Christian said to me. He texted me. He said, Kili will never happen. Sky Dweller will be Rolex's most complicated watch forever. The man has spoken. So I don't think, Christian doesn't think, and even monochrome watches don't think the Kili's coming back. That was basically just a reader submitting a question saying, hey, what do you think it would look like if Rolex reintroduced the Kili? And monochrome watches said, it'd look like this. And that would be sick. But basically, the more likely version of the Kili story is that the Cellini line for Rolex is going to be discontinued, and there will be a more refined or a change in pace or a different marketing strategy for a new dress line of Rolexes. Federico from Federico Talks Watches said the Vienna line, which I think would be really cool, but who's to say? What I would really want to see, which I don't think we will ever see, is for Rolex to do a heritage line. Like, for example, if Rolex came out with a 39mm date just with a cream waffle dial, the old dagger Rolex indices made of white gold, with a 12, 3, 6, and 9 indice in between the daggers, it would be amazing. And if they redid the sub or they did the Milgauss or something like that in their heritage line, I think that would be insane. I don't think Rolex will ever do it, but that would be the best thing ever. Anyways, that's about it. I will see you. I don't know when I'll see you.